Hi there, my name's Jill Tiny. I'm from Collaboration Global, and this is our podcast, Being Human, Hidden Depths. I'm going to be interviewing some of our members from Collaboration Global, and they're going to be sharing with you their extraordinary lives. Although they would probably believe they're just normal, everyday, average humans, but they are extraordinary. A bit like you and me. We all have our story to tell. We've all been through difficult times, and we've come out the other end having learnt an extraordinary amount about ourselves that we can share with others. So I think you'll find lots of things that will resonate with where you've been in your journey as well. I look forward to seeing you on the other side. Hello and welcome to Being Human, Hidden Depths, the podcast by Collaboration Global. And your host today is me, Jill Tiny, and I'm so excited. One of my favourite people in the world is with us today, Masami Sato. Welcome, Masami. Welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Jill, for having me here today too. You are one of my favorite people as well. So,
well, we've known each other a relatively short space of time. I was trying to work it out earlier today. I got involved with the charity that you look after. You founded probably in 2019, I think. It was before
2007.
It feels like that, yeah. Well, so for me to get involved with you guys,
oh yeah, you got
2019,
involved.
yeah.
Oh wow!
You'd been going
just before the pandemic.
Yes, I know. We met in London at a wonderful conference where we tried out laughing yoga, which was hilarious. And I was introduced to you by a wonderful man called Stuart Kerslake, who said, "I think this is up your street, Jill." And I went along for funsies, not sure what to expect. Yeah. And I got hook, line and sinker, totally in love with the whole concept of B1G1, mainly because it hit a button for me that you've created a different model for a charity. And I've always been very miffed by the fact that some of these massive charities out there pay their CEOs an absolute fortune, have massive London offices, and I'm like, well, where's the money coming from that's going to support that? Surely that money should be going to the cause. And you have a different model. Do you want to explain what your model is, and then we'll go back into the story of why you started it?
Yeah, and so the B1G1 is probably like a little bit different from the concept of charity, because we have two organizations. First of all, we have a social enterprise, which is business minded. That's why when we work with businesses around the world, we actually help them incorporate the impact, the measurable impact in what they do. And then as a part of it, we always focus on adding value to those businesses so that their impact creation and the giving as a whole becomes much more meaningful, powerful, transformative, and connecting and resonant. So that's like social enterprise, actually engaging more and more businesses to join us so that they realize their small act of everyday business actions can actually contribute to clean access to clean water, education, environmental work, and everything, and then find the meaning. And as a result, like they become a member, and that membership fund help us fund the entire work of B1G1, including the system development, but then on the other hand, we have the charity organizations, B1G1 Giving, that facilitate the actual impact by engaging and inviting high impact charitable organizations around the world to join us, so that when they pass the criteria, meet the criteria and pass the assessment, they get invited to come into the platform and work together with us to break down their impact projects into micro unit of positive change, such as planting one tree cost this much, or providing access to education to underprivileged children cost so much per day. And then that gets curated into our platform. So that's why when businesses give, we don't take anything off the contributions that they make to the project, and we hand over the the amount collected and amalgamated to the selected charities. And so that's kind of the model. That's why like B1G1 is not so equivalent to normal charities at all. But we are very, very fortunate to have businesses like you, Jill, that see the value of the work that we do, but they also understand that the fact that they don't need to try to kind of change the world alone. They can take the part they could and make the contributions through B1G1, but on a regular basis, so that the support coming from all different kind of businesses get amalgamated and then start influencing all of the problems and challenges in the world. So that's the B1G1 model.
Beautiful. You've said that more than once or twice, haven't you? That just totally encapsulates what it's all about. There's so many questions I want to ask you. This my brain is going crazy. That's one of the things I like about it. It is you have a wonderful community, and obviously Collaboration Global is a community, and your values and our values just marry up so beautifully. And the thing that being part of your community is these are all other businesses who want to give as they go. It's not like I'm going to wait till I'm successful, until I'm a multimillionaire, until I've done that deal, and then I'm going to give. It's like they are giving consistently and regularly on a regular basis. So for us, as an example, every guest meeting we have, every person that shows up, thank you very much for showing up. So we're going to now do this on your behalf. Every member that joins us, as long as they are a member, a part of their membership automatically goes to B1G1. And it's the little ongoing things we can do. And I was always struck by a speaker on TED called Ricardo Semler. And he'd been a businessman for like 30 odd years, and he'd developed ideas for schools, ideas for so many different things. He was just this amazing entrepreneur in business. And he had 30 years ago, he let his staff decide when they were going to work, how much they were being paid, when they took their holidays. He was ahead of his time compared to us now after pandemic working from home. And he was talking to a friend of his who said, "Oh, Ricardo, I've done well with my life. It's time to start giving back." And Ricardo looked at him and said, "Well, if you're giving back, you took too much in the first place." And that's what, when B1G1 is about giving as you go, every time you get a little something, you give a little something. That was like, I've been waiting for this for ages. It just was perfect. I didn't have to create it. I didn't have to make it. It was somebody else who had that vision since 2007, a long time ago, to see it going forward. So let's go back to those days, those early days. Now, we know from the talks that you've given that you've always been an adventurer. You've always been out there trying stuff out, experiencing new cultures and things. But tell us your founding story. What was the seed that got planted that got you going?
I think the very original seed that was planted was perhaps like being curious about how the world worked, what was happening. And, when I was young, like I always questioned about the mechanism of how the nature worked, or even how the businesses worked, because my grandparents used to have a family business. And I spend most of my school holidays helping my grandparents run their business. And I loved spending time in their space. Especially because my parents were working for companies and they were very busy. So they were never, home, or when they were home, they were very stressed about work. And so for me, like being with grandparents was an escape that was really nice. But at the same time, because they had a business, a little shop in Tokyo. So as a little young girl who was very shy, but curious, spend every day helping grandparents run their little business, stocking shelves, cleaning the shops, serving customers. And so that was like probably the initial seed of being curious about how everything worked. And I just wanted to understand the things, and I questioned everything. So when I graduated from school in Japan and I was about to go into the world of adulthood, instead of getting a job, I wanted to do something. So all the school years, I had a part-time or multiple part-time jobs to save up money so that I could travel. So I left Japan at the age of 20, and then I spent the next few years traveling around the world as a backpacker. And even though I saved up all the money, right, like, but that was limited.
Yeah.
And traveling is not cheap, right? If you are spending money. So I had to be very, very creative to keep going. So initially, the plan was to be away for about 8 months and study English because I couldn't speak any English. But it ended up a few-year journey of backpacking, continuously moving, connecting with people, sometimes hitchhiking, sometimes staying with people's families. And so that period of time really like transformed my perspective about this world because, as a young person in Japan, I used to feel that the outside world was very unknown. And in Japan, there's this saying called gaijin, and to call foreigners. And gaijin in Japanese means outside people.
Right.
So we used to call any people from foreign countries as outsiders,
Mm-hmm.
and they were very different from us.
Mm.
But when I started to travel as a backpacker, I felt increasingly close to everyone. And I realized that there were so many things we had in common,
Yeah.
even though we looked different, spoke different languages, or had different cultural or religious beliefs, or regardless of all these differences, I felt that we were all connected.
Yeah,
Mm.
for sure.
Yeah, so that like led to the time where I started to question once again about why things were happening. And so in many of the countries, like some of the countries I visited, people were definitely much better off having more bigger house, more like cars and nice things. And but then in those places where people had more, it didn't mean that the people felt fulfilled or happy. And
Yeah.
at the same time, on the other parts of the world, I saw some people who had nothing, very little, families who didn't know how to continue to feed their children and send them to school,
Mm.
or people sleeping on the street. Like I met so many people,
Yeah.
and some of those people, even though they had so little, seems to be quite happy to share. And they were giving me their food or so. Yeah, so I realized that there was something that I couldn't understand. And but the problems of the world seems to be so big, and I didn't think I had any ability to change that. So I kept going. But one day, actually, when I accidentally became a mother and had my daughter, that's when I realized that I had to do something. I couldn't keep saying that I couldn't help everybody, so I do nothing because
Yeah.
I realized if my daughter was born in another circumstance by chance, and if the world said, oh, sorry, we are all too small, like we can't change the world, so we do nothing, then
Yeah.
what happened? And that was actually happening to so many children and so many mothers around the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then I became an entrepreneur, believing that if I had a business and if I could use my business to make a difference, to my own customers' lives, but also to the world, and give to like the causes that I cared about, then at least I could be doing something.
Yeah.
So that was start of my first business, which was a food business, because I was passionate about food and I believed that the food really brought people together. So eventually, when the food business evolved to, like initially starting as a small like takeaway food bar because that was all we could afford to do, but
Mm.
eventually the business have grown and we moved from New Zealand to Australia. And at one point, my company was selling wholesale frozen, healthy frozen meals to more than 150 stores across different states,
Wow.
I realized there's something profound. So I thought about all of the hours and all of the hard work we were doing to grow my business. But at the end of the day, we weren't able to do anything toward the dream of making a difference because we were always too busy and we didn't have a lot of money. We were putting all the money back into business every time we gain new client, new customer,
Yeah.
because we always had more money to spend on the development, the new packaging, new freezer room, and
Yeah.
so on.
Yeah.
So we thought, what if we do things differently instead of saying one day in the future when we are really successful, we're gonna make a big thing happen.
Yeah.
Instead of that, what if we said, we do something small, but do it from today and every day?
Lovely.
So that turned into the origin story or origin idea, like an initial idea of B1G1, that for my company, every meal we sold, we wanted to give a meal.
Wow.
And that's simply done when you know that there were organizations that are actually doing this, like providing a free meal to children at school so that the more children get encouraged to come to school in communities like, places like India, where even primary school education completion rate is very, like, not high enough.
Yeah.
So kids drop out because families don't see the value of education and they decided to keep children working on the field instead of encouraging them to go to school. But having that one free meal can encourage a family to send their kids to school
Yes.
because the kids get a free meal,
Yeah.
but also help the children to focus on the study. And that help them over a period of time for them to complete the primary school education. And that gives them the chance to actually consider going to the secondary and higher education.
Yeah.
And that totally transformed lives. So doing that was simple to do for our business too, because it was just so small on a regular basis to make that difference. So several months later, after the idea came to us, eventually we realized this profound idea that what if every business could do this? And because there was no such mechanism for businesses to do that, so we decided to sell our food business in Australia and move to Singapore in 2007
Wow.
to start B1G1 as the global initiative.
Gosh, that's just incredible because you make it sound so simple. It's like, oh well, we decided we would just, for every meal we created and sold, we would give one away. Did you have any kickback from people in your company that went, "Are you crazy? That's like half our profits gone out the window. Why would you do that?" Or was there everyone was like, "Brilliant, let's do it." How was it felt when you first made that suggestion?
Yeah, I think, you know, the businesses have, if let's say businesses have a product, then there are all sort of cost or even ingredients, right? Like in my case,
Yeah.
there were ingredients that go into the product, such as all of the vegetables or, like even the packaging and the stickers and the labels, like everything had a little bit of cost.
Yeah.
But we choose to invest in that cost so to make the product more worthwhile and valuable.
Mm-hmm.
So if compassion and kindness and the positive and tangible and measurable impact became one of the ingredients of your product, and that only cost 10 cents, 5 cents, 20 cents, whatever the impact you choose to make,
Mm.
then actually every business can totally not only justify, but also see the meaning and the benefits of actually incorporating this positive change into what they do.
Mm. And that's what I love about your co-founder, Paul, who maximizes that from the business perspective. It's like not only is it a good thing to do and a kind thing to do and a lovely thing to do, it makes business sense because it becomes part of your branding. It becomes part of your makeup of your business. Is this is what we are over here? And I love the comparison he makes to the coffee shops. You know, would you buy your coffee from the coffee shop that's just selling you a regular cup of coffee, or the same price coffee, but actually they're going to be donating something to a good cause? Well, you'd go to the good cause one, even if it meant you had to cross the road to do it. You know, it's common sense, and yet people are only just catching on to the fact that we have businesses that have power and businesses that can make such a difference, providing we look at that business as a tool for good. And it's like, how could we do it and what can we do to it? And therefore, you guys make it easy. It's just plug into B1G1 and the rest is going to be, you know, the software is done for you, the organization is done for you, the choices are out there. You just make the choices. It's all done. You don't have to go and find any of this stuff to do it. And then your branding can kick in and all of the marketing can kick in and all of those other things that go with it.
Yeah.
So from that very simple idea that you experienced and you did first, it's not like you're going, this is a good idea, let's see what we can do. You've gone, I've got this company, I want to use it for good. Let's give stuff away. And back then, 2007, pre-2007, that was kind of revolutionary. I'm surprised you didn't have people saying you're crazy. What are you doing?
Yeah, I think looking back, I feel like we've done many of the things a little bit too early. And
Yeah.
so when I think about the, healthy food business that we had, and then initially we started out as the concept of online order
Right.
fresh food home delivery. And
Yeah.
that was 23 years ago. So at that time, nobody was ordering food online.
No.
And and also like trying to find a way to deliver this fresh food everywhere around the city. Like it was enormously difficult.
Yeah.
And we as a result of it, we eventually realized that was a bit not the right time. So we pivoted to frozen meal and that worked well, like as a wholesale business. But
Yeah.
then in the same way, when B1G1 started, I think it was too much ahead of time because no business was looking for opportunities to really give effectively or even social impact, ESG or CSR, like all of those things
Yeah.
were not yet in business people's mind at that time.
Wow.
So I feel like we had a lot of struggle out of that. But then at the same time, even when there was no demand, when we tell a story, when we talk to the business owners and really tap into the reason why those people started their business and what they cared about, because every business starts with actually a sense of wanting to make something better, solving a problem or adding
Yeah.
value to a specific type of people they had empathy for.
Yeah.
So when we spoke with business owners saying that this is the way you can build a great legacy in and around your business because you as a business person, you care about something. And so that messaging already resonated with people, regardless of whether or not there was a trend, or we could make a strong case of consumer demands, like for a focused, cause-centric businesses. Like when there was nothing, we still had people who chose to join us. And many of those people are still connected with us today, like 18 years, like many people still say online that, oh, I remember that day B1G1 idea was born.
That's
So
amazing.
yeah, so I think that makes it really, really special. And then today we can basically make a stronger case that it makes total sense, right? Like logically. But also, even if there was no benefit, no material benefit to the business, if you just thought about doing a business, running almost exactly the same business, but you as a business owner, knowing that by you succeeding, by you doing what you do, you are improving lives around the world of the people you may never meet too. I think that value of understanding the legacy you are creating in your business is priceless
Yeah,
already.
absolutely. And I think you're right. Now is the time because businesses, the SME world, are realizing that we have all of this power, very little control. And we're told in the politicians of the day, every time there's a election coming up, they'll say, the SMEs are the backbone of the country. and yet they could do so much more. And it's doing things like this that give us that kind of control where we don't have to lay out huge sums of money. But the more you give, the more people that you're going to help in a massive way. So it is, as you say, its time has come, and anybody that's not part of it and who has any desire to have their business as a legacy for themselves, it's like, well, what legacy are you leaving? What are you creating to, what they say, what do people say about you after you leave the room? And if they are not coming together to do some good, then almost like, well, your business is earning money, great, and all right, well, I employ 5 people, good, and what else could be done? There's so much more that could be done, and you've just given everybody the perfect vehicle for it. But this trip here, it sounds very simple. So now you're in Singapore, and now you're getting it going, and this was back in what year are we now? 2007.
Yes.
In Singapore. So it's still a long way away, isn't it? So you just celebrated 18 years, haven't you? So what a landmark space to be part of, considering you were ahead of your time. So what were some of the challenges that you came across in 2007?
Well, 2007 was not the biggest challenge, perhaps. Yeah, we had a lot of excitement around how to design this whole thing. And, basically, we had no examples to follow.
Yeah.
Right. Like if we are running a food business, there are lots of food businesses out there, and you just have to create a business that does better, or that meets the customer's demand better, or price is better, or quality is better, or distribution is better, or service is better. Like, so you could do all of these things based on existing models.
Yeah.
But when we set out to create B1G1, there was no existing models. So we had to figure out how to make this simple idea a reality, right? Like, because it's so simple, like, what if every business can become part of creating a better future by doing what they normally do?
Yeah.
Every time a coffee shop sells a cup of coffee and somebody enjoys that beautiful cup of coffee, what if a child somewhere around the world receive access to life-saving education? And without that clean water, that child might have a diarrhea, might miss the class, or young infant might die. And so, well, how can we make this happen? Every time accountants create a new client, that gives education to a child. Or, every time author sells a book, a tree gets planted. How do we make that happen? So over the initial few years after moving to Singapore, we had to really figure out everything from scratch, like how to bring on board different organizations to be B1G1, how to ask them, how to break down the project into micro units, be automated. So many ways, we really had to figure out everything from scratch. So that's kind of B1G1's dilemma and challenge. But heading to that, I experienced so many personal challenges as well as an entrepreneur. So I look back and then thinking about the early entrepreneurship when I was running a food company in the struggling time, like starting a business with 3-month-old baby on my back. And
It's
and
incredible
also,
because I look at my children with their children now, and I'm exhausted just watching what they go through. But to imagine having, and they're employed, so it's like, oh, maternity leave, I'm going to have a baby, I'm going to enjoy myself. To imagine what you went through with a tiny baby, with accommodation problems as well, you had, didn't you? Did you ever kind of think this is all too much, I can't do it? You must have done at some point.
Yeah, so some of the hardest time was when we decided to expand this initial food business and signed the lease contract for commercial kitchen, big commercial kitchen. And after doing that and getting ready to build the kitchen, and I was like, physically painting walls and carrying cement and stuff like that. Then I realized one day that I was pregnant again. So I had a 2-year-old daughter at that time, but I was pregnant again. And we just signed the lease for this new concept business, which we didn't know whether it's going to succeed, right? Like, so through the pregnancy, second pregnancy, I was working, doing longer hours, backbreaking work, and we opened the online business, waiting for orders to flow in. And of course, at that time, not many people ordered food online, so we wouldn't have enough business coming in, but we had a huge cost for the commercial kitchen, which we signed up for. So during that time, eventually, like we started to do, sell the product at weekend market, getting up at 2 a.m. in the morning, taking our 2-year-old daughter in a van at 2 a.m. to go to the market so we could sell something, right? Like at the market where customers were.
I can
And
feel the angst and the pressure that you must have been under. Did you ever doubt yourself at that point? Did you just go, oh, for goodness sake, I'll go and get a job?
No, I doubted myself all the time, like
Oh,
whether I could do this or I could do that.
right.
That was that. But then there was one thing I didn't doubt. And so what I didn't doubt was that there were so many people in the world who had more challenges than I had.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you'd
And
seen it firsthand, hadn't you?
yeah, and also because those people who had very little still were generous to take me in to share their meals,
That's special.
like,
Yeah.
and helped me along the way when I also had little, like as a backpacker.
Yeah.
So I always felt I was better off than so many people. And that gave me a reason to keep going,
Yeah.
even when I doubted myself.
Well, you
So
must have done.
anyway,
Yeah.
so one day during that time, I was still trying, right? Like making ends meet, selling everything, working 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, no rest, young
Wow.
child, growing tummy. One day, we no longer could pay the rent
Oh.
and we were stuck.
Mm.
But our landlord was this Greek businessman who kind of, co-invested in doing the kitchen, but he was also very firm on collecting rent, right? Like, and he had a high interest car loan company next door.
Right.
So I knew we wouldn't get away from not paying rent. So I thought about, so what can I do now? And I had an idea. So my idea was, I thought, well, we have two rent. One is for our house, one is for the kitchen. Which one do I keep?
Oh, wow. What a
So
choice. Just,
the clear, obvious choice was to keep the kitchen.
yeah. Yeah.
So I moved out. We moved out from the house, let go of that rent, moved into the kitchen, but the kitchen was just an industrial warehouse with a kitchen shell inside. So there was a gap between this like shell of the kitchen structure. Above that was space where we could store cardboard boxes, like a packaging material with a ladder next to it, like to go up. So we actually lived among the card boxes for some time and became homeless. And then I would wake up in the morning and go like, oh, actually, it's nice because we don't need to travel to work anymore.
Always look at the bright side. Exactly. Yes.
And then we kept going, but then also I got stuck another time again because I was pregnant and I was still working full time, nonstop, and I had no time to go to see doctor or anybody. So I looked down my belly, and then thought, well, I could have a baby any moment now because
Oh,
I was nearing 9 months pregnancy.
yes. Yeah.
Then I thought, oh my gosh, what do I do? And at that time, I was resident in Australia, but not have the same benefit. So I didn't have the same kind of support for my childbirth. So I said, well, I have an idea. And then the next idea, was that we would have a baby there.
Oh my goodness. Wow. I mean,
So yeah,
people
so
will
my
be putting their
son
hands up
was
in horror over that
born in the kitchen.
in the kitchen. Oh, bless. Yeah. Health
Nearly
and safety went
20.
out the window, I guess.
No, no,
All
no.
of it.
Yeah. So what happened was, interestingly, sometime later, when we finally managed to pivot to frozen meal and moved out of the kitchen,
Mm.
I actually went to the landlord and apologized for secretly staying in the kitchen and giving a birth in the kitchen. And the amazing thing was this landlord, who I used to think was a kind of quite firm and scary person, right? He laughed and cried. And then he said, Masami, I believe that you're going to do great things. And during the time of difficulty, he also offered us 3 month rent waiver.
Wow. That's, yeah,
Mm.
brilliant. That's, well, this is where you have good ideas and it comes back to you, doesn't it? It's the karma. You were out there doing something for a really good cause, and then when people find out about that, they want to help you to continue that and carry it on. I cannot believe the hardship that you went through, though, to keep it going and keep your dream going. Who did you have around you at that time that was supporting you in your dream?
Well, actually, at that time, it was during my first marriage. And my family was there, of course.
Mm.
And my daughter, who was 3.5 when my son was born, was there. And also, we had this very beautiful Japanese lady who used to homestay with us. So when we still had the house, and she stayed with us, and also she helped me with my business.
Mm.
She was one of those people who inspired me a lot too, because when the time came and I suggested that we move out of the house, I said to her, her name was Sayaka. And then I said to Sayaka, Sayaka, we need to move out from this place because of the business situation. And so we're going to be living in the kitchen. And I don't think, that's kind of suitable for you. So why don't you start finding another place to go to? Then what she said to me was really amazing, because she said to me, Masami, it sounds really exciting. I've never lived in a kitchen. I
Oh,
want to come with you.
oh, how lovely. Yeah. And
Yeah,
then you
and
had
then
another pair of hands to help with the children, I guess.
yeah, but then also another like a time when our business started to grow again because
Mm.
of the frozen meal production that we were doing. We also had some amazing people from around the world who were on this thing called the working holiday and also woofing program
Oh,
to stay and stay with people and learn about things, and then to be able to work for period of time. We had so many people coming to stay. And all of these people are working together with us to grow this business together.
wow.
And that sense of, early days of this small group of people being really excited about the good that we get to create together.
Mm.
Um, I think that feeling stays with me, even though we are in a different situation with our business today. But
Goodness.
I always feel like, for example, our members and partners or our causes, like people who are delivering making things happen on the ground around the world, those people are actually part of our work and the partners of this important change that we are creating together. So
Yeah.
the feeling is still the same.
Yeah. It's something special, isn't it? When people get what you're about and they believe in it and they want to help, it's like they become family, don't they? They're the family that you get to choose rather than the family that you get born into. They become special. It's like for me with Collaboration Global, the ones that get what we're about and go, I'm in, I want to be part of this movement. They're the ones that I'm like, oh, it feels like they're coming home. And I'm like, yes, thank you, because we can do this together. on my own, I've just got a great idea. And it's the same as you, 2007, I've got this great idea. Hello, does anybody want to? But you've got those people around you that came in and went, you're doing the great thing, you're doing the right thing. I want to help. What can I do? And sometimes you don't know what they can do, but you know that just having them there and having that hug is really special. And that's probably, I'm guessing, why you do these amazing conferences and retreats where people go and experience where they might have helped some of the causes, and you go on a little project, but also having 2 or 3 days of everyone collectively. You're in Bali this year, aren't you?
Yes, yeah, in November we are gathering together, and I always think that things like study tours where we actually go and see what happens on the ground is probably the epitome of the experience, and not just because, oh, here is the project I've been supporting and this is exactly how it works, but what we take away is really the profound gratitude of the privilege that we have in doing what we do. And that, like, creating the space of empathy that the people feel for each other and feel together, rather than here is like a rich people who help and then the poor people who need help, like that. It's totally demolished that separation. That we are partners in making some extraordinary change happen, and we can only do it together. That feeling is really profound when we get to experience it.
Yeah, it's beautiful. And this is my whole concept of human beings together. Forget all the labels, why you're different, why he's over there and she's over there, and he's black and she's white, and he's gay and she's straight, and all the labels that we put on each other. Ultimately, as you discovered when you went backpacking, we're all human beings, and we're all connected by that invisible, untouchable thing that's the most powerful thing on earth. And there's love for humanity. And if we don't come together and support those that can't currently support themselves, then we're not worthy of that, being part of that race, I don't think. So when everyone does come together in this way, that's why we get filled with the love, and that's why our cup is brimming over. Even if we don't have a huge amount ourselves, there's always something that you can do and something you can contribute to help another person, even if it's just a smile. I mean, one of our members, I've got them here, he goes around giving these out, pink socks, and he's Pink Socks Life, if anybody wants to go and check it out, pinksocks.life. And it says, the world is full of good. When you believe it, you see it. Keep doing that. It's a simple, very simple message, but it is about connecting with each other and finding ways that you can help each other together. So tell us the story about how Paul Dunn came into the picture, because a lot of people will be aware of Paul Dunn in the UK. He is renowned for helping businesses. I saw a fabulous video on LinkedIn the other day of you guys getting to see backstage what goes on at Wimbledon. That looks like fun. A little bit jealous, must admit. Tell us how Paul came into your life.
So Paul was initially a mentor to me, and because in his early career, he saw a lot of successes, and he had amazing connection with industries like accounting industries, and so many people saw Paul as the kind of mentor and speaker and the person who inspired, push the boundary and status quo in the industries like accounting, where every accountant seems to be quite the same. They're all doing the same work and billing on the hourly basis or something. Yeah. And he totally disrupted the industry. So he retired once, because he was able to retire at that time. But because he's such a creative person and totally enthusiastic and curious about everything, so he couldn't stay away for too long. And as he came back into the business space, we met. And initially, when the idea of B1G1 came to me, I tried to give it away to Paul. I said, I don't know how to run this thing, how to make it happen. So why don't you do it? Like, because you have such experience. And then he, at that time, the answer was actually no. And
Oh,
I realized that I had to do something, otherwise the idea would die.
yeah,
So that's how like initially we started to be 1G1 in Singapore. And so that's why Paul was from the beginning a supporter and almost like a messenger or ambassador of B1G1's idea and
yeah,
inspired a lot of businesses. But then over the years, because with my ex-partner, we realized that we had a different future, different directions. So he moved on, starting his business, and we became friendly, like a co-parent,
yeah.
but separate, right? Like so, over the years, Paul actually eventually, gradually became very close to me, and then we became official like business partners as well as life partners.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we've been married for the last 11 years. So we just celebrated the 18th anniversary of B1G1 last month, but we also celebrated 11 years of marriage together.
Congratulations. That's beautiful. Um, Many people will know Daniel Priestley as well, who's a big supporter of yours.
Mm.
Paul was Daniel's mentor back in
Mentor.
Australia, yeah, back in the day. So this is kind of an indirect route of how I came to you as well, because I was got to know Dan with the KPI program. And obviously, when you spot people online, they're like, oh, they know, and they know, and they know. So
Mm.
when I kind of put that connection together, it's like, oh, he must be a good guy then. If he knows Dan and he's helped Dan, he must be a good guy. And you sort of follow the crumbs, don't you? Find out how you can get involved. Um, so talk to us about Wimbledon. What was that all about?
Oh, so I think nowadays, like when we are doing our work over many years, some interesting opportunities come to us.
Mm,
And so this is also partly the benefit of doing something you totally believe in, something that is bigger than just making money and just developing a business, but
yeah.
there is a mission behind what you do. Then, of course, the opportunities that gets attracted to what we do is also very interesting, right? Like so one day, a friend of mine who is Richard Branson's private tennis coach messaged me and then said, Masami, we are running this program for the second year round, which is to get a group of ATP tennis players who are retiring or retired, just retired. And then we are also matching them with a group of business mentors who have different experiences. And then we have the annual mentoring program. And then he said, so we are doing this for the second time around because last year was a great success. And we are also bringing in WTA group as well. So both male and female pro tennis players will be part of the program. And he said, would you be one of the mentors?
Let
And
me think
so,
about that for a minute.
yeah, I did. I actually said that. I said, well, like I'm a person who's running a business, but I don't tend to mentor people. So why don't you talk to Paul? Because
Right.
Paul is much more experienced as a mentor. Like he is super, super amazing. So then my friend said, oh, that's a great idea. So Paul can, should be like, if he is happy to be part of it, that would be great. But I still want you to be part of it.
Why not?
So yeah, so then it turned out that both of us engaged in the initiative. So we just had the launch event, and then they took us to the Wimbledon tour just before the season opened. So we on the day it was totally like not accessible by the public. We went into the Wimbledon area from the back gate, and they took us through all of the players area, like the canteens and then the treatment rooms and the ice bath and the practice court. And so as we are walking through, we are seeing like Djokovic just walk past or Naomi Osaka brush like through and we saw Alcaraz and Sinner chatting and walking by or
Gosh.
practicing or so we just saw this amazing space where the champions of amazing sports come together and that environment of where the champions hang around, with each other was just inspiring.
Yeah, I mean, that is the best arena in the world, isn't it, for tennis? And to be part of that and to be supporting those people that are coming out of their career and considering what they're going to do. I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully you didn't get starstruck, but it'd be pretty hard not to when these guys are walking past, or the girls, having come off a practice or something and just
Mm.
standing there having a chat. You're like, oh, I'm here.
But anyway, probably the most interesting thing is the fact that the people coming out from sports career will consider entrepreneurship. And
Yeah.
what's happening now is that more and more people are increasingly attracted to the idea of entrepreneurship, because now running a business from anywhere around the world and working anywhere around the world
Yeah.
and developing and making things happen with a relatively small group of people, a team, is really possible. And there is a profound opportunity ahead of us, for us to really transform the industry or how work and life work around the world by enhancing the way that we actually develop and run our businesses. So it's a amazing time.
Yes, it is indeed. So what's next 5 years, B1G1? What are you planning for? What's ahead?
So of course, like it's very easy to say it's about the scaling and growing, right? Like because we've worked with thousands of businesses so far, and then those businesses have created more than 375 million giving impact, and these impacts can be number of trees being planted or number of days of access to education, or so
Yeah.
that's already quite profound. And then now looking at how many businesses are in the world and thinking about, okay, how is it possible now that we can reach many or more of these businesses and encourage and inspire them to start taking positive action. So we don't need to feel overwhelmed by just looking at the news and the challenges in the world and feel pessimistic or depressed. Instead of that, what if every moment, every day, every opportunity we have, we choose to take positive action and we do it together? What can we achieve? So we have a lot more to do.
What I love is the fact that rather than look at, oh, there are so many people that need help, you're looking at there are so many businesses that could help. It's like the huge potential that is out there. And the other thing I love about B1G1 is that it focuses on smiles rather than misery. That people can be sad and be in an awful situation, but you guys focus on the potential smiles that can be created as a result of what these businesses can do. So I wish you every success in what you're doing. You've already had amazing success, but other people's success is your success. So the more businesses that get on board and grow their businesses as a result of being part of B1G1, it's a no-brainer. It's a win-win-win on so many different levels. So I wish you every success for the future, Masami. Have fun in Bali. I wish I could join you over there. Sadly, I can't. Maybe next year or whenever the next one is. But in the meantime, thank you so much for being on the podcast. Thank you so much for doing what you do, for inspiring us, because you haven't had an easy journey. So there are entrepreneurs out there at the moment that are going, oh, I've got this brilliant idea and I can help so many people and I just can't get connecting to B1G1. You get taught, you get educated, you get mentored, you get support, and you get to make a difference as well. So I cannot recommend it enough. All the details will be on the show notes as well. If somebody wanted to get hold of you or B1G1, what's the best way for them to go about it?
So first of all, you can visit b1g1.com. That's our main website, and you can find out more. Jill, if you are happy to include in the show note, then I will be sharing with the audience something that they can do to kind of imagine the potential impact they get to create, like that we can do the simulation of the impact
Wonderful.
together.
Yeah.
And then thirdly, if you enjoyed this recording or episode and happy to follow more of the ideas that I share, then you can find me on LinkedIn and follow me as well.
Brilliant. All right, my darling. Thank you so much for spending the time with us and finding the time because I know you're a very busy woman. Enjoy the rest of your stay in the UK and have a safe journey back to Japan now. You're in Japan, you move around.
Well, yes, Singapore and Japan.
You are truly a global citizen. I'm wishing you every success with B1G1. Give my love to Paul as well. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for coming.
Thank you, Jill.
Take care.